Hello there, so this is a media and crime summary for the crime deviance materials that you have been covering while we were on break during this corona epidemic. Please wait for your government rations to arrive. Obviously make sure you do not come into contact with anyone who's infected, and we are going to review media and crime. So the initial things we're going to need is the resources. So the main resource for you is going to be this crime deviance pack, which has all the notes and materials in it. So that's page 80 to 89 in your pack. You're also potentially going to need the crime media PowerPoint. This will be sent to you separately. You have copies of the electronic textbook. So it's this textbook here, Sociology book. You can use the electronic textbook, page 87 to 91, as a brief summary overview. And you will also benefit from using your assessment pack. So this has a selection of questions relating to media and crime, which I will show at the end of this presentation. But again, they are in your assessment pack for you to use. So let's begin. So if we go for a topic overview of the key materials that we're going to look at here. So there are 4 key areas that we're going to address. The first of these is media representations of crime. So this is page 80 to 81 in your pack, and it looks at a few ways in which the media represents crime deviance or maybe misrepresents that. So the first one, we have perception and distortion of crime. So this is the work of Williams and Dickinson, who highlight that the sort of front pages and the space in newspapers dedicated to crime often varies between the type of newspaper, between tabloids and broadsheets. Tabloids are more likely to spend a significant portion of their front page and their newspaper itself on stories related to crime deviance. Dickinson highlights that as you move towards broadsheets, that percentage decreases. So generally the tabloids, which generally attract more working class readers, are going to have a more sort of common experience or perception of crime deviance. We also look at Felsen, that looks at the idea of dramatic fallacies and age fallacies. So the media often represents victims of crime as older, more likely women, more likely middle class, and it will often report more dramatic, more sensational crimes. So again, right off the bat, our perception of crime, the crimes we believe to be taking place, are often unrepresentative. And then this leads to issues like the backwards law, introduced by Surratt. So again, the media constructs images. It creates and misrepresents media stories. It creates, misrepresents crime, and it changes the reality. And this is supported by the work of Greer and Rayner, who do pop up later in the pack. And then lastly, you've got agenda setting. Now, agenda setting is linked to the idea that newspapers control the news, they control the information we see, and they can control the way in which stories are presented. So this is really kind of suggesting that media owners, the owners of newspapers, they can set the agenda. They can suggest how a story is presented to us and how a group or an individual are seen. So we can maybe look at stuff like the recent Extinction Rebellion groups, the way that were presented in newspapers, they were disruptive, they were terrorists, they were kind of the worst of the worst. And actually, you know, they don't talk that in a lot of the protests, a lot of the marches involve children and the elderly and people who just want to sort of us to be more aware of environmental issues. You also have news values within this. So this kind of links back to theories like Cohen and Young, but also the work of Jukes, looking at there are 12 key news values, and this is more to do again with that dramatic fallacy. So sensationalizing a story. A story is more likely to get news coverage if it has personal elements, if it's dramatic, if there are celebrities, if it's easily digested or summarized, if there's any obscure element that involves animals or celebrities, if there's graphic images. There's lots of things that make a news story more likely to appear in the paper, and that would be the news values, and that's what newspapers are looking for. There's the famous quote that if it bleeds, it leads. So if the story is violent or graphic, it's more likely to present on the papers. And lastly, that then leads us into Rayner and Katz and the impact of crime, so how we perceive crime deviance. Now, their main argument is that there is a difference between the reality of crime and the perception of crime. So we perceive crime to be more severe, we are more fearful of particular types of crime, which in reality we are less likely to experience and not likely to impact on our day-to-day lives. But there's a gap caused by media representations. Now, the second area is how the media causes crime. So this is more of a shift of how the media does actually, in some respects, cause crime deviance to occur. Now this will follow into the third area we're going to move on to. So the media has always been seen as a source of crime or a potential cause of crime, even from the early 20s and 30s, where corruption of the youth was feared through cinema and the advent of cinema and music, through to the 80s, where horror films and video nasties were seen as a problem. In the 90s and 2000s, it would have been video gaming. And in the 2010s, it's been social media. So the media has always been seen as a source of potential crime. Now that is challenged, that is questioned, but as a good example in your pack, you've got the development of drill music and how the cultural connections of drill music have created crime and deviance. You then come back to Greer and Rayner, who you mentioned before, who again identify how the media can cause crime. And so the ideas of imitation, repetition, it creates sort of this lust for crime and deviance. So there are ways in which the media can also again be argued as causing crime. Now the third area is theoretical links. So this is theories that we've already touched on in other areas, so left realism, string theory, moral panics, and we're just applying it here. So again, it highlights the synoptic nature of crime and deviance and of the sociology exam itself. So realists, again, they support the idea that media does create crime in some respects, so relative deprivation can lead to crime and deviance. Merton and the strain theory between the gap between the goods that are presented via the media and what we want to achieve. Moral panics from Cohen, so the media creates the sort of criminal group, the scapegoats, a group of people that creates a panic of fear and leads to crime deviance. And then the final question is from McRobbie, again highlighting how useful is a moral panic. We're in a different age to Cohen, to Hall, to strain theory, where we don't receive one daily update from the news. We are constantly connected to news. We get it from multiple sources, and that's changing how effective a moral panic can be. And the final area, and I'm going to get myself to disappear, there we go, is technology. So cybercrime and how that has led to changes in the nature of crime again. So we've seen a shift towards cybercrimes such as trespass, violence, deception, pornography. This has made policing crime very difficult, but has also led to changes in technology which has made it easier to police crime and deviance. So that's the 4 key areas, and then the rest of the pack, page 89, it really just includes some summary tasks for you to work on. Okay, so let's have a look at the top 10 summary points for this section. So first of all, the media represents patterns of crimes using fallacies that misrepresent the age and the class and the gender and nature of criminal acts. Secondly, the news is manufactured. It's a social construct. So whether it's news agendas, news values, what we see in the papers does not reflect the reality of society. And that kind of leads into the third bullet point about news values themselves, that these factors make particular events more likely to be presented in different ways, to be presented because of a very specific element in the story. So again, the news we see on the telly, in the newspapers, on social media, does not reflect the reality of society. 4, the media is a cause of crime. So some of those concerns like imitation or providing knowledge, the media causes crime. A contemporary example of this, for point 5, would be drill music. For number 6, the focus on victimization, the victims of crime, the people who are affected, creates a false fear of crime. The fear of crime that the media creates is not grounded in reality. So there is this false reality of crime, and that creates a false fear of particular crime and becoming a victim of crime. So the idea that women are fearful of being a victim of crime, so don't go out late at night, does not match the reality that it's young men who are more likely to be victims of crime because they are out at night. And again, the idea that they don't feel a fear of crime. Number 7, so coming into our theory, left realism says that media does have a cause of crime. It does feed into relative deprivation. That leads to crime in marginalised groups. That kind of reinforces that the media can create crime if we connect it to theory. Moral panics, the work of Cohen, also highlights that the involvement of the media in a criminal event can make more crime occur. So this is a slightly different way in which the media causes crime. And then number 9, with Young, the deviant groups, once they're highlighted, deviancy amplification. So there are two kind of ways. There's this kind of notion that media causes crime, and then there's this way in which media really does cause crime. And then lastly, number 10 is that there's been a growth in cybercrime, and this is changing in society, and that's being used to create crime, but also to police crime. And our final points for today. So here are some exam questions. These all come from the assessment pack. And it just gives you a notion that a lot of the questions asked in the exam, they'll either ask you how media distorts crime, how the media and news values report how crime is reported, how the media can influence crime and deviance in society, or how the media is a cause of crime. So very similar notions of questions here. But as I say, these are all in your assessment pack. Obviously, please have a think about the questions, maybe come up with a rough plan. If you obviously have a chat with your teacher, if you want to have a go at writing these in full, just obviously let them know, and they are likely to be happy to mark them. Okay, and that comes up. Any questions, any concerns, anything you're not sure about, review the materials addressed on the first slide, or have a chat with your teacher either via email, or if you are in college, speak to them then. And there we are. That's media and crime in a short 11 and a bit minute video. Thank you for watching.